or gold cord. And then I would just go right back into my body. I would really stand like where my bed is and see my body and see me sleeping. Now, I want to say when I was a teenager and in my 20s, I wouldn't do that. I kind of lost that. And recently, I'm like in my 30s, I'm starting to do that again. But this time, I'm hearing things. Like I heard a deep voice saying, Jessica, please go back to your room. Because I was actually leaving my apartment. And I actually seen my body in my bed. So, I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. It's like, when you hear people say that, I mean, is that normal? Is that not normal? Or can you control it? Can you not?
Well, that's pretty normal. As to whether or not that was an indication of a directive being given you by some guardian around you, or whether or not it was just a comment being made by another spirit on the astral plane, I don't know, without knowing more about the experience. And so, you can have either or. So if there was a reason why it wasn't good for you to be traveling that night, your own guardian angels might have given you the directive to return to your room and return to your body. But you can also have a situation where if it's not that, it could have been just random spirits you might hear. And this is where discernment also then becomes necessary, because we want to discern who is speaking to us, so that you are not making important decisions based on something if it is not coming from a source that is worthy of you listening to. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So without more information, it's hard to know which it was at that time. Yes.
I felt like, oh, okay. And I didn't feel scared or anything. I just went back. And the weird part was that I woke up with my eyes open.
Okay.
Well,
so that's just like, yeah. I don't know if that's normal of doing that, but okay. But it was just an experience that I never went through, where as a child, I would just go around the house and I would, hear my loved ones who passed. They would come and I would talk to them and stuff, and then I would just go back. Well, this experience, I was literally heading out the door. And I heard a loud, deep voice saying, Jessica, please go back to your room. And I didn't feel scared, so I turned around and I went back.
Well, and that may have been
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. So I don't know. So could it have been just a guardian angel, or is that normal?
It could have been. It could have been a guardian angel, because if you were about ready to leave the house, maybe it was premature for you to do that, and you weren't ready spiritually to go further, and so there could have been a directive to go back, and so it could have been, yes. It's just, you can't know for sure unless you discern it at that moment. And so I think it's reasonable to say it's very possible and very likely that it was a guardian angel of some kind.
Yeah.
Hmm. Now, have you? I've heard many instances where people say, be careful about in your dreams if they feel real enough. And there is a point where you can pass away in your dreams.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
And I was wondering, like, if you heard of that and if you worked with anyone or heard of it, and
I have
maybe
heard that.
from.
I have heard
What
that
is your
from
take?
various. Well, I've heard that from various, like, I don't know, different types of, like, mythologies that people have. I don't really believe that that is a legitimate concern. I think it is more of a superstition that people carry. We do know, I mean, anybody can die in their sleep. It can happen. You know what I mean? But as to whether or not that's going to happen because you're having a dream or an out-of-body experience, that would generally not be the case. That would be because something was happening physiologically to your physical body while that was happening. And so my own view on that is that it is a superstition, but I have not studied that in, a great amount of detail. I just have not seen it to have validity with my own experiences and the experiences that I have done a great deal of study on from people who've had these experiences for the last 2,000 years and what people are experiencing now, that it's not really a legitimate concern. I think it's more of something that people have kind of grabbed a hold of as a superstition that has attached a lot of fear to it. But in reality, there would be no connection between being in the dream state or in the out-of-body travel state and dying in your sleep. Dying in our sleep would occur because something happened physiologically that had nothing to do with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. If I could ask one more question.
Go ahead.
So what is the difference between out-of-body experience and astral traveling?
Well, basically, astral traveling is traveling in that astral realm, which is basically the fourth dimension, which overlaps the third. And so it's speaking more specifically of this one particular realm, which is the astral realm, the fourth dimension. Out-of-body traveling can refer to, any number of realms in, the heavens, the purgatories, the hells, and anywhere beyond or, in between. So the primary difference is that astral traveling specifically speaks of that travel that occurs that's pretty earthbound, fairly physically focused, focused primarily in the fourth realm. And out-of-body travel can relate to travel in any realm of the universe.
So when we dream, where do we go then?
Well, that all depends on, there are a lot of different people having a lot of different types of dreams, so some people will come back with some type of past life memory in their dreams. So they may be experiencing past life memory recall. Some people may have dreams where they're going to a higher realm and being instructed there. Some people have dreams that involve spiritual warfare, where they're dealing with demonic battles. Even others will have dreams that are more related to personal issues that they are being instructed upon. And we also have, just the general run-of-the-mill dreams which are just the physical brain's way of processing the daily activities, and those would not be in the same category, because you have your normal physiological processes that occur in dreams through, just the brain activity, and then you have what we would term a great spiritual dream. And you have different levels, so a spiritual dream might not be as intense as like a great spiritual dream. And these would be things where something very important is being imparted to you, some type of very important information or teaching. And so those are some of the different kinds that you might experience.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much for answering my questions. And I will keep listening from a hot, steamy Wisconsin. It's very hot and steamy. Michael, you can take this weather back to you. I am tired of 90-degree weather with a heat index of 100.
I don't think we gave it to you because we still got it.
I mean, you're sharing it. You must be, because we got it, and it's very hot and steamy here. So.
Oh yeah, it's like that out here too. You go out, the air is so heavy, it's so moist, it's blah. Anyways.
All right. Well, thank you, and have a good evening. I'll keep listening, and thank you.
All right, Jessica. Thank you. I appreciate the call.
Thank you, Jessica.
All right. So somebody asked about karma. Where does karma come in to all of? What we are. I've seen pretty good evidence to say that karma is very real.
Oh yeah, and in that same series of books, the Mystic Knowledge series, I have a book called Reincarnation and Karma, which really kind of goes into this in a great deal of detail. Karma is generally, it's the habitual behaviors and habitual patterns that we take from not just this life, but obviously previous lifetimes. And so one of the things that happens with out-of-body travel is that we start to travel into various past lives, sometimes parallel and future lives as well, but oftentimes it's more of the past lives, where we will then begin to see a pattern. We'll see a pattern either of our own behavior or of relationship dynamics. Oftentimes we'll see, sometimes there's even a grouping of souls that's the same over and over again, and we'll see how the same problem arises and how it is not being corrected or handled very well. And so then we start to see all the different ways that we handled it that did not properly solve it according to what would be considered the eternal way that it should be done, So then we begin that detective work on how are we going to alter this karmic pathway in this lifetime so that we can actually complete it and end the circle of habitual behavior on it. But, each one of us will have, a lot of different karmic thrusts throughout our lifetime. A lot of times we will have some that are related to our relationships, some that are related to our work, our vocation, or our calling in life, and some that are related just to our understanding of love and of eternal love and of God. And we can have karmas around all these things and more. And so basically karma is a misunderstanding of how eternal love manifests and operates within the program, and the program is the physical world. Yeah. And so we are learning through our repetitive behaviors how to bring this eternal godly love, which is this unconditional type of love, but it's it's a different type of thing. We learn these things energetically because we go through vibrational raisings in the out-of-body experiences, and then we are shown, our different behaviors. We're shown different ways of solving things, and we are continually evolving forward in that wisdom so that we can look into other ways to do things. And this is always related, to eternal love in some way, shape, or form. It can seem very far away from that when we first see it.
Yeah. When you look at this planet that we're on right now, it seems like we're lacking a lot of that ingredient called love.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. One thing I'd like to point out, Michael, to your audience is my books are available for free download at my website. It's outofbodytravel.org. If you click on Out of Body Books, you can download any of these books that I'm talking about and read them freely. And, they are also available in, whatever format you might like, paperback, Audible, and, all the digital formats. But you can download them freely at the website. So if you're interested in checking any of this stuff out, you can go to that page, the Mystic Knowledge series, download Ghosts and Lost Souls, download Reincarnation and Karma. For a lot of people who are just beginning, I always recommend Come to Wisdom's Door and the Mysteries of the Redemption as a good place to start for those who are just kind of starting out. But there are a lot of specific things you can go right to there on the page, and you can just download what you're interested in right there. And you can always send me an email if you have questions, further questions on any of these things as well. But yes, the reincarnation and karma thing is a big part of this whole thing. And in fact, when we go through the initiations into the mysteries and the rites of passage, there is a great connection between uncovering our past lifetimes, uncovering our karma, and bringing within our physical vehicle at this current time construct the knowledge of all the lifetimes that we have lived, so that we now can start operating with this multiplicitous understanding rather than just the understanding of one fragmentary existence. It's a very lengthy and very important aspect of our spiritual development here in what we call the mortal realms. The third and fourth dimensional realms are the mortal realms, and karma is a huge part of what we are here to overcome and purify. When you start reading the Mysteries of the Redemption, it talks a lot about the path of purification. Mm-hmm. And that's what all of this is about. It's the purification of the soul. And what we are doing is we are purifying our defects, the things that have held us to the ground, the things that have held us to earth over and over and over again for many eons, because we have not yet correctly understood it or understood how to be free from our misunderstanding within a physical construct. And that's the key with karma.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about vibration just a little bit because you brought that up earlier. And so,
sure.
Would that? I mean, I've talked about psychics on this show. I've talked with psychics, and it seems that they're reaching a higher vibration is why they're able to connect with folks on these other realms. So I'm thinking when some people on their deathbeds, matter of fact, a lot of people when they're on their deathbeds, there's stories of loved ones coming to visit them, right there in the hospital or what have you. And I'm wondering. So then when you're on your deathbed, is the vibration must be increasing intensely for this to happen. Am I right?
Yes. And what also happens is when people are either very ill or very close to death, the veil between this world and the next gets very thin for them. And I experienced this when I was really sick and when I was close to death, that you have a much more profound ability to literally walk between worlds. And that is part of what you're experiencing when you're close to death and you see people who are terminal who are getting ready, is that that veil is thinning and they're starting to see a little bit from that other side is trickling into their physical world, just enough to give them some comfort and some confidence as they're getting ready to take that step forward into the next phase of their life, which is, although it is death in this world, it is the next phase of life, because life does not end once we leave here, And so that veil thinning allows for a lot of that vibration and a lot of, things that are comforting to come through, whether it's seeing your guardian angels or whoever you might need to see, whether it be, loved ones. A lot of people will start seeing the loved ones as they get closer. That gives them more confidence and comfort.
My mom had mentioned seeing angels in the hospital room when she was near her death. She's seen angels up and towards the ceiling, and and a lot of times they'll say, well, they're on medications or they're on this. Well, she was not high on anything. I mean, not at that point. She was having a normal conversation with us and just stopped and said, hey, you guys see the angels? The angels are here. And then she, when we looked at each other weird, she just kind of said, well, never mind, and just went on about the medication. Make sure your father takes his medicine, that kind of thing. Now, my aunt, she had, when she was on her deathbed, she was arguing with somebody. I don't know who. She was saying, no, I'm not ready to go. Da, da, da. I don't know if she might have had the mafia coming to meet with her because she didn't want to go. But whoever came to get her won. I mean, they don't compromise when they're there to get you. It's like, get in this car, you're going. So.
Well, yeah, and what happened with your mother, I've heard that with many people have shared similar stories, and so for your mother, that veil had thinned, and she was able to see, and what happens too is, even as we experience more and more out-of-body experiences, we see that the veil will thin at times, and so you may become more able to be aware of the angels in the room or other presences in the room. And that's part of this consciousness, this universal consciousness that we're all trying to kind of bring into the earth at this time. But it naturally happens at the time or close to the time of death. And so it's a beautiful thing when people are able to see that. I've heard that from many people as they're, either days out or sometimes a week or so out. And seeing the angels is a huge comfort. And for many who were afraid before, once they start seeing that, they're no longer afraid.
Yeah, I guess what most people are probably more afraid of is, it's not about the dying, it's about how you're dying. The pain.
Very true.
Yeah, and I've heard that, if people who are in really rough condition are already out of their bodies, which if that's the case, boy, that's cool, and God knew what he was doing, did a great job. Because that's the kind of way I'd want it, if I don't want to lay in the hospital in a coma for 2 weeks and then finally die. If that's the case, I want to be out of that shell and dancing and having fun and just tell the guys that come to pick me up and say, well, I'm just waiting for this meat suit to croak so we can go, That's how I hope it is.
Well, and a lot of people who are in comas are already experiencing going in and out of the body quite a bit. So that's already happening with comatose patients quite a bit.
Yeah.
And as you've mentioned, people who have had some pretty intense and rough situations. And I agree with you. That is what most of us are concerned about, and I can relate to that.
Me too.
going through some of the things I went through, that was one of my big fears was, okay, well, I hope I don't go this way or this way.
Yeah, well, and
I think we all feel that,
in 2014, I had a heart attack, and I came, I could have gone either way myself, and I didn't know what was going to happen. It was just, I remember feeling like I was so close, and and then surviving it. I just remember saying, "Man, I was like right there. I could have just like opened the door and went." And I'm thinking now I'm going to have to go through this again someday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird.
What was I thinking?
You're right. It's like, it's not that I wanted to die. It's just that, damn, I was almost there. I mean, hell, I could have been over with already, but now I'm glad I'm here. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I don't want to go through that again. I just, I've known people who have just passed in their sleep, like we were talking about earlier. And I don't know if that's good or bad, if that's going to be, I don't want to be roaming around thinking I'm alive, get up to, get ready for work or something. And yeah, well, you're not working today. But it's just such a mystery. It's so mysterious. It's so mysterious that I almost feel like, there's got to be something. There's just, this can't be all illusions that people are having. It can't just be all in our head or the medication or a chemical that the brain releases. I guess it could be, but I have a hard time believing that it is, So.
Well, yeah, and what you find too, like in a lot of the out-of-body experiences I had where I went through a lot of the initiations that would take me through previous lifetimes and previous deaths and previous, experiences where, where I was coming back to the memory that we have when we cross over, where we not only see and remember the people from our current life, but sometimes we remember people from previous lifetimes or other existences that all of a sudden we just have this memory that comes back. And, this happens when we cross over, where this understanding of how all of this works and how these things that we view as very mysterious now, it becomes very clear to us. And this is part of what a lot of near-death experiencers talk about, when that the wisdom, the knowledge of God, all of a sudden you're just in it and everything makes sense. And this will come to us all as we cross over into death, where a lot of things that right now seem very hard to understand or mysterious, all of a sudden it just, I had forgotten that. But yes, this makes perfect sense. You see?
Yeah.
So we have this forgetfulness where it seems this way, but when we cross over, it can be literally a split second, And all of a sudden it's like, I remember that. No, that wasn't nearly as mysterious as I thought. I remember how that works, because it comes back to us. It is given back to us. That unremembrance begins to go away. And what we once knew and what we know in our soul reemerges. And so it becomes clear again,
Yeah, it's almost like we store these experiences, and I was talking to somebody the other day about this. I says, you know what, I think we're eating a piece of pizza, and I said, eating this piece of pizza in this reality, I think that when we get on the other side, we were talking about hope you don't miss this or miss that when you're a spirit and you can't do these things. And I said, no, I think that's why we have these experiences, is because when we get to the other side, we now know what it's like to eat a piece of pizza, so we could kind of manifest that.
Right.
That's kind of my thought. I don't know. It's probably going to be totally so different than anything I think. It's. But speaking of vibrations, I had a guest on who made a really interesting point about how at a certain vibration you can see a ghost, but unless they're at that vibration or you're at the same vibration, you can't see them, what have you. And I'm thinking, he brought up other planets and says, well, the reason you don't see life on Mars is because it's at a different vibration. Our eyes can't see it. How do you feel about that? Do you think that there's life all around? I mean, well, ghosts and things, obviously, so I guess it's possible, but life all around us that we just can't see, even on other planets.
Well, absolutely, that's actually true. We have, what this person might have been referring to is the interdimensional space beings.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is, literally, yes, we have knowledge of beings that live on Venus and on Mars, and I know we have Jupiter, that are interdimensional. So that means that they do operate on a different dimensional existence than we are. And that also means that they could all be a different vibration than one another as well.
Yeah.
And, and this applies to us here, because as I was talking about the veil thinning and like how your mother was able to see the angel in the room, but also was aware of all of you in the room. This is because all of a sudden she's able to see all of these things. And this is what he's talking about. Because the angels are of a different vibrational quality, and you and your sisters and brothers were probably not able to touch into the vibration of the angelic, but your mother was able to see them and to see all of you. And this is what happens as we raise our vibrations in this sphere. As we go through things in the out-of-body travel state where we can see these different life forms, whether they're angelic, whether they're celestial, whether they're extraterrestrial, interdimensional. And, we have all these different types of life, the fairies, the elemental beings that people discuss.
Mm-hmm.
We don't all have the ability to sense their presence, but some people naturally do. And that's a gift to be able to do that. But as we raise our vibration, we become aware of the fact that there is much more life going on all around us than we see physically and third dimensionally, and what most of us as humans are aware of. And, a lot of people, I've had some people contact me who have had near-death experiences who, when they come back from their near-death experience, certain things are inexorably altered. So, for instance, some come back and they become now able to see everything angelic within the physical world at all times. And on the other hand, I've heard from others who are able to see all the demonic forces that are interspersed among us in the physical world at all times. And so we are not aware of everything that is going on around us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that can be tweaked, by the mystical masters who help us when they deem it to be a helpful thing for somebody to have one of these gifts.
And do you see angels, extraterrestrials, spirits in general? Do they share the same kind? I mean, it seems like, I guess I'll explain a little. I've had people who have explained seeing grays, extraterrestrial grays, that were almost in ghost form, that would just cross through the walls, walk through walls without, just walk through them. So, and I always thought, well, boy, that sounds awful ghostly. So I'm wondering, are they on the same realm? Is there some kind of like maybe an alliance of some sort between them? And then often you get religious folk who will, declare, everything's a demon sometimes, and that includes extraterrestrials. Right. But I think they're separate kind of entities. What do you think?
Well, what you have there is what I've experienced. I'll tell you what I've experienced with that is when you're dealing with the grays and the ones that are ghostly, as you say, mm-hmm. They can be fifth dimensional or above. And there are different levels of the grays because they're not all the same. There are different in the field of the grays. There are different evolutions of the grays, because we're visited by different eras of the grays that come. My experience of them is that their vibration is extremely different from that of ghosts. But yes, they do things that are similar to what you're saying. They are ghostly in that they will go through walls or things like this. But, angels also go through walls, but they do not have a vibration at all similar to ghosts.
Yeah.
But at the same time, at the same time, among ghosts, their vibration can be extremely varied, because you can have a ghost with an evil intent versus a ghost who's just kind of lost and just needs some help, and their vibration can be night and day from one another. Then you have all of these other types of beings, So there are spiritual teachers, and we have many, many types of spiritual teachers, because spiritual teachers come and go in the spiritual life and in the out-of-body travel state as we learn different concepts. So we don't have the same spiritual teacher for an entire lifetime unless we're not actually making progress. We would be moving from spiritual teacher to the next as we are progressing. Spiritual guides are a little bit different in that they will come in, and we will have different ones at different periods as well. And they come in and they almost embody concepts, so to speak. Guardian angels, however, oftentimes will be the same one for an entire lifetime. We may have a same group of guardian angels or a same one or two. So we can have such a variety there. The fairies have a very different vibration than like the angels. And within the angelic kingdom, they have, when you're dealing with an archangel, they have a very, very powerful, very holy, powerful vibration. But you also have other orders of angels, like when you deal with golden angels, there is a very different kind of holiness that they emanate. It's they're these beings that are transparent and gold, and they are extremely fine. You just feel honored to be in their presence. When you're around an archangel, you have a holy fear, because this is holy awe. And then there are so many different orders of the angels, and they all have a different vibration. The cherubim are just like adorable, cute little things that you want to play with, And then they're so
and I'm
cute.
guessing they don't want to be played with.
They actually are. They are very playful at times, and so there are so many different types of beings, and throughout your journeying, you're gonna, when you have out-of-body experiences, you may travel into where you're going to meet the old ones of the Native American tribes, and they have a very specific vibration. But you may also then go meet the Tibetan masters of the Himalayas, who have a very different vibration. Then you may be meeting with the prophets, saints, mystics, and sages and ascetics, and every one of them they have their own gifts, and this is something that part of the reason that we see them and part of the reason they come is to impart to us knowledge from their existence, but also that unique vibration that they carry and that they represent, which helps us to make ourselves more whole. And so literally, all of these things just as varied as life on Earth is, we can certainly say that life in the afterlife is even more so.
I see. Okay, and now you've actually helped spirits cross over. Have you? I mean, have you been involved in that kind of thing? Did you say that? Were you?
Yes,
Yeah.
and in the crossing over, but also in I've been called in a lot of cases to work with souls in a lengthy afterlife process. So, some souls it may be several months, some it may be several years. It just depends on the soul. There can be a really lengthy process depending on the circumstance at the time of death and the spiritual condition at the time of death and what the soul needs to experience in order to move closer and closer to God as they journey after their physical vessel passes away.
Do you think that technology will ever catch up to a point? You've got all these folks out there who do this ghost hunting, and they use all these different little gadgets, and some of it's pretty cool. Some of it I think is far-fetched thinking. However, do you think technology will ever get to a point where, I don't know, we're going to be able to get a device on the same vibration and just call mom?
Well, I think that's very likely,
Yeah.
probably, on some level, but I don't necessarily think that the device will be the preferred method, because you'll see, like, for instance, for those who go to my website and read my books, they start having these experiences. They start going through the out-of-body travel experiences. They start going through the initiations. And what we find is that cultivating the gift naturally within the physical body, within our own spiritual soul, within our physical embodiment, is not as difficult as a lot of us think it is, that we can do this, and that this is probably going to be the best vessel for that in the longer run. I certainly think they will come up with technologies to do things like this, but in terms of doing it in a way that is the most effective and useful for the development and the furtherance of the soul's evolution, it will probably still remain best for us to develop that spiritually within our own individual self. And it can be done. A lot of people don't think it can be done, but it really can be, and it's not unreachable for most people.
Well, yeah, and my thought on now, something like that would be nice because we'd be able to just call and say, "Hey, what's it like over there? Well, tell me more. I want to know about the place before I move in." But at the same time, it might not be good because we might screw everything right up. I mean, or people say, "Oh, well, this life sucks. I'm just going to get out of here," and and before you know it, it's a mess. So there's probably a good reason why we don't know what's coming. Maybe we don't know because there's nothing. Nah, God, I hope that's not the case, but I don't believe that's the case. And my personal experiences tells me it's not. But then again, I could just be crazy, so who knows? But
Well, it's interesting though how like you're saying, well, I could be crazy, and but could you and the last 5, 10, 15,000 years of mystics and every one of the saints, prophets, and sages, and all the ascetics, and all the near-death experiencers and out-of-body travelers, the thousands and thousands of souls, and not to mention the fact that we have these accounts, and they go across the lines of religion, so it doesn't matter which religion you look into. It goes across all world religions, all cultures, all tribes, all peoples. And we see this similarity, and there is a unity between the accounts that people have that tells us that there is a common experience.
Yeah.
And so I would say that ironically, even science would be on the side of no, you can't be crazy, because the scientific evidence definitely would go on the side of no, there's too much evidence saying otherwise. There's too many people who are having these experiences that tell us otherwise, and the experiences have too many similarities. Even when you cross cultural and religious boundaries, they still contain the same elements that make them uniquely the same or similar. And
Yeah.
so
And
we can't really just say people are crazy anymore. We know now that there's too many of us out there, you
well,
know?
I agree with that completely. I don't want to, I'd hate to think that we're all crazy. Now, there are some pretty hard nosed scientists who, however, that will say, well, the reason everybody feels has a similar experience is because it's a mechanism of the brain to help comfort you in death. I'm not saying that, but that's what they, I've had some tell me that. And I say, okay, well, maybe I guess we'll find out when we get there. But deep down, I know that there's something else. I mean, I know my experiences weren't just some kind of brain illusion, but it's hard to argue with some of these guys in the white coats when they say that. It's like, well, I guess I just leave it to, I guess we'll agree to disagree.
Or you can just tell them, I loved what Emanuel Swedenborg, who was a 16th century mystic, who, he wrote a ton of books on his experiences, and he had some amazing, amazing experiences. And what he just said was, okay, well, we'll just talk about it when we meet on the other side. So we'll just have that conversation then, and it'll be a little easier to have that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, that could be some of these folks who are haunting houses for hundreds of years. They could be the ones who just believe there's nothing. So they think they're still, do you think they'd stop for a minute and say, wait a minute, it's been 200 years.
Well,
Why am I
what's
still
interesting
alive?
about that? I've had some interesting experiences with souls who, because that's something that I thought was really interesting as well. Like places that have been haunted for hundreds of years,
Yeah.
And first of all, you do have situations where energy attracts energy. So you do have places where if something happens there and it's been haunted, then it attracts other spirits or energies of like nature. And so that can happen. But also what I experienced in the out-of-body state about this was I was shown how quickly, like literally for a ghost who is haunting a place, how quickly a couple hundred years could go by. It felt like literally like a split second.
Well,
And
so
so
does
what
our
seems like
lives.
someone's been there for a long, long time can literally be like a split second in timelessness where they might be residing. And so their experience of the time may be very different than ours.
See, I could buy that 100% because, I mean, look at our own lives. I mean, tell me you can't look back and say, holy cow, it's like a blink of an eye. Where did it all go?
I know what you mean. It does seem like yesterday, it's
It
like
does.
you blink your eyes and I'm
Yeah.
a grandma.
Exactly. Yeah. Same. I'm not a grandma, but I'm a grandpa. I'll tell you, it's. I never.
Yep.
I never seen it coming. It just hit me. One more area I'd like to ask you about, and that's the Palladian system. Now, I understand that you had an experience with that as well.
Oh, I had a lot of experience with the Pleiadians.
Ooh.
And,
Okay.
the Pleiadians are a beautiful, beautiful culture and society. And, they were working with us very closely, probably still are. But they are a culture of unconditional love, and they reside in a fifth dimensional and above reality, so they do not experience existence like we do. They're spiritual, but they travel here, and they have been watching over here quite a bit for a long, long time, and trying to help assist us in taking a turn, so to speak, and trying to ascend our spiritual direction to a little bit of a higher thrust here.
Yeah.
We're kind of taking some baby steps and not quite making it, but they are such a beautiful world where literally it's just a flowing, beautiful world, and it's beautiful there. They took me there a few times, and they have the amethyst geodes that come out that are literally huge. I mean, they're just huge. They're like mountains,
Mm-hmm.
and these amethyst geodes are very like electrified, energized. It's hard to explain. And they have butterflies there that are like the size of, the size of a car,
Wow. So some prehistoric type stuff.
Well, kind of, but yet at the same time, probably post-historic, and for them, because they're all like fifth dimensional and above. So these are spiritual life forms, and they're these beautiful colors, pinks and purples and blues, very, very psychedelic. And they have all the Pleiadian stars in their sky, so you can see it all from wherever you may be on the ground. But they live in this culture of oneness and love. So they have this very prominent sense of interconnectedness in their world, in their civilization. And that's something that they wanted to teach me about, the interconnectedness of life and consciousness. And that is something that, we as humans, we've kind of touched on that a bit, in this world, but it's not something that we've really embraced as a species, as a world. In their world, it's just the way things are. So it's very different for them. So they are much further along in that regard. Very powerful, silent type beings. When they are coming, you can feel that vibration and hear it because it's so powerful. But when they come, they're often very quiet because their power is in their presence.
That's
just a beautiful, beautiful experience.
It sounds like it. It absolutely sounds like it. I've seen in my time. Had about, I'd say eight really pretty decent. 8 decent. I'll say 4 of those 8 incredible. I'm gonna say, I don't want to say UFOs because while they might have been unidentified, they definitely were intelligent craft, and I've seen them in the sky. And I don't believe it's anything the military has. I don't believe some of this stuff. One of them that I seen, I couldn't imagine them having anything like that here on Earth, but who knows? But boy, was it just some amazing stuff. So I have no doubt that we're being visited. It's like I know these things, but I can't prove them to anybody, nor am I trying to.
Right.
For me, it's just here's the information. It's out there. Take it or leave it. And, hopefully people will have their own experiences and they'll come back and look back at this stuff and say, oh my God, this is what they were talking about. And, and that's the thing is today we are so distracted with technology, with civilization in itself. We've been taken away from, the things that probably are way more important that we're probably here for. And instead, we're being distracted with so many other things. At least I think, I don't know, maybe it's supposed to be this way. But it seems we should be a little more in touch with this planet that we live on. And most people, they just go through their day. They're just busy, busy, busy. I know I'm one of those people a lot of times, just busy, busy, busy. And before you know it, life passes you by and you look back and you say, well, what did I do? Oh, well, I accomplished this and accomplished that. But what about the things that are very important to you? And very important to your growth of your spirit and your soul. So a lot to think about. I wish we came to this planet with instruction manuals, Marilynn. I really do, but we didn't. So the best we got are folks like yourself who have had experiences and are kind enough to share them with all of us. I want to give you the floor if there's anything else that you'd like to get out. I want to thank you so much for being here tonight, and I wish you great health, and I hope you're here, as long as you want to be, because I'd love to talk to you again sometime.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, just encourage anybody who's interested in pursuing this anymore, go to outofbodytravel.org. That's the website of the Out of Body Travel Foundation. I've written over 102 books on the subject, and you can download them all freely there, so you can do that. We also have a free course of study, so there's a lot of things there. If you want to do spiritual counseling one-on-one, that's available to do with me as well. And so we have a lot of resources. You can download a lot of interviews and watch a couple of documentaries as well about these things that we're all working on. And outofbodytravel.org. And thanks for having me on, Michael. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. The pleasure is all mine, and I will definitely get you an MP3 of the show. If not tonight, I'll get it to you by tomorrow. But thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Michael. It's been great.
All right. You have a great night. And please keep up the good work. You're giving people hope. You're giving them something to think about. It's not just, you're dead and it's over. There's a lot more to it. So thank you for being there.
Oh, thank you, Michael.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, folks. There she goes. Marilynn Hughes. The website is linked up over on WCETradio.com. If you go to the show tab, it'll drop down. You'll see Late Night in the Midlands there. Click on it and scroll down just a little bit. You'll see a schedule there, and that's where the website is. Again, outofbodytravel.org. And when I put up the archive, which will be here shortly, I will put some links in there for you, folks. So I'm going to take my last break. Then I'm going to come back and finish up with you all. This is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vara, and another interesting night, I shall say. We'll be back. Don't go away, everybody. We're running, but not running away yet. Just stick around.
Michael Vara on the air and contribute to Late Night in the Midlands by going to our show page located on WCETradio.com. Just place your cursor over the show tab at the top of the website. Then click Late Night in the Midlands in the drop-down menu. Once there, just click the donate button on that page. It's as simple as that. Thank you for keeping Michael Vara and Late Night in the Midlands going all these years. WCET Radio and Late Night in the Midlands. We cover everything.
You're listening to WCET Talk Radio like no other.
Hey, late nighters, keep up with all things WCET Radio by joining our mailing list. Just go to the bottom of the homepage and fill in the Stay Informed form. Then click the Get Latest News button. You will get everything from guest info and show info and other important station-related information. So sign up now and get a special promo offer just for email subscribers.
Late Nighters and WCET radio listeners around the world, listen up. The shop is here, and you can order WCET radio and your favorite shows swag right now and show your friends and your neighbors you're awake by wearing one of our many shirts, including our Stop the Censorship shirt. That one is a hot seller, so get yours while supplies last. We have coffee mugs, clocks so you never miss your favorite shows, books, mouse pads, and more coming soon. Just go to WCETradio.com and click the shop link. That's WCETradio.com and get to shopping.
Pet Connect Plus offers a connection to your pet, living or past, with the use of tarot. Ruby, the owner and intuitive reader for Pet Connect Plus, will make a connection to your pet for guidance on specific questions in general past, present, and future readings of your pet. A connection with an owner and a pet together will run $55 for 50 minutes, or a connection with one pet alone is $35 for 30 minutes. What a deal. Pet Connect Plus can be found at PetConnectPlus.com and on Facebook at Pet Connect Plus. Connect with Pet Connect Plus so we can make a connection with your beloved pet to provide them with a fulfilling and rewarding relationship with you. Get connected today. PetConnectPlus.com. WCET-FM has just released the app. So now you can take WCET Radio everywhere you go. Just go to the Google Play Store and search WCET-FM. That's WCET space FM and install it. Then it's ready to go. Oh, and did I mention it's free? Well, it is. WCET-FM. We got the app.
Carolina Radio, Columbia.
Excellent.
Number one means you're always on top. Your number one radio.
Late Nighters, make sure you like and follow WCET Radio and all our shows on social media. Just click the channel you want at the top and bottom of our homepage. Then be sure to share with a friend and ask that friend to do the same. And you become the resistance.
Become a WCET Late Nighter today. What is a late nighter, you ask? A late nighter is a loyal listener who wants access to the WCET radio shows on demand and wants to contribute to the station's growth with an annual or monthly listener contribution. Late nighters also get priority access to host call-in shows, special WCET swag, and late nighter only events on the network. Become an annual Late Nighter by August 31st and get a free WCET Stop the Censorship t-shirt sent directly to you all over the world. Just click one of Become a Late Nighter buttons all over WCETradio.com to subscribe. Without you, there is no us.
It's late, and we're cruising through the night with you from the East Coast of the United States from an undisclosed location. You're listening to Late Night in the Midlands with your host, Michael Vara. To call in to tonight's show, just dial 803-317-2521. or get your questions to Michael through our WCET Skype located on our website at WCETradio.com. The call to listen line is 631-359-9399. Now, here is Michael Vara.
Can't we? Oh man, I'll tell you what, at least where I started from, I remember growing up, boy, things were a lot different than they are today. Much, much different. This is Late Night in the Midlands, the one, the only. I'm Michael Vara, and been bringing you this show for 13 years now. Oh yeah, that hurts. That hurts. There's a few out there who don't like to hear that, but for the majority of you, you know, we're looking to do another 13 years. Yeah, another 13. I'm going to do this till I take my last breath. That's the bottom line. I'm going to do this till I take my last breath. Wherever it takes me, it takes me. Some measure success by dollars. I measure success by people and word of mouth. And I'll tell you what, I still say we've got the best listeners on the planet right here on WCET Radio, and I want to thank all of you for all your the years of listening. I know some of you have followed us right from the beginning. How, I don't know, but you did. I got to tell you, some of them early shows, there's a part of me that just wonders how some of you didn't just turn us right off, you know. But then there was others that seen the potential, knew where it was going, and boy, they feared it. They feared it, you know. They could have worked with us. We could have gone a lot of different places with some of these folks. They're not around no more though now, but we still are. We've hit a lot of speed bumps, but we've always managed to stay on all four wheels. No flip overs here. But nevertheless, we're still here and enjoying it. And I forgot again to turn off that damn loud fan, but it gets like I say, it gets warm in here on the break. So I try to air it out a little bit here. But yeah, so you know, a lot has happened in the 13 years. I'm going to put something together for the anniversary of, you know, something positive from where we started and where we've gotten. And you know, if you're, I don't know, if you're Rush Limbaugh, then this is no big deal. But, you know, if you're me, it is. I've really enjoyed the last 13 years. All the people I've gotten to talk to, different people from around the world, not just the country, different experts and, you know, professors and scientists and NASA folks and even presidential candidates. So we've had it all here. It's amazing. One day I'll write the book and tell you about behind the scenes and some of the tricks to anyway. So one day we'll get into that. You know what we get into right now is if you want to go over to WCETradio.com, you can do, well, there's a couple ways. You can donate to the station, which is fine, or you could donate to me, which is fine. It all goes into really the same pot anyways when it comes down to it. But if you want to donate to Late Night in the Midlands, there's a show tab. Again, that drops down. You put your cursor over it, and you'll go ahead and click Late Night in the Midlands. And when that page opens, you'll see a donate button there, and that's how you can donate and contribute to Late Night in the Midlands. Now, if you want to contribute to the radio station, well, hit the Contribute tab. There is one, and you hit that, and it's right there. Every bit goes to paying the bills to keep the station going and rolling and doing what it does. And you know what it does. Do I need to tell you again? All right, then I will. Bringing you the best shows, with the best hosts, with the best guests, and definitely the best information right here on WCET. And we're not done. We're going to be bringing in more. We're going to keep growing. We're going to grow slowly, and we're not going to overgrow. You know, that's a problem. They get so big they implode. You get too many big heads, too many chiefs, not enough Indians, that kind of thing. We don't. Are we even allowed to say that anymore? Right? The Washington Snowflakes don't think so. So tonight I learned before the show that my father he's had to go, and they've had to do some more procedures. He's needed now 3 stents to be put in, on top of everything else this poor man has gone through. And so 3 stents. He had his main artery was pretty badly clogged, and I guess it had 3 blocks in it, and so they had to do 3 stents. So, boy, I'll tell you what, Dad, I love you, and boy, you're one hell of a fighter. Here's a guy who's never been hospitalized for anything. He's always been healthy. He's always done well. You know, really, he's been a lumberjack. This guy, my father, and then all of a sudden, like, you get to this certain age, and just bam. So, I mean, my God. And, you're getting your 90s and things start, I guess, turning around at some point. But I tell you, he's gone through a lot. He really has. He's gone through a lot. He's got 40% of his heart. So he had lost 60% of the function of his heart. But they say that's good. Okay, I guess it is if you're not going to be running marathons. He's gotten the stents, the medicine that they've given him for in the beginning when he first went in. Unfortunately, damaged his kidneys really bad, so now he's got to do dialysis. I mean, he's really gone on a roller coaster, my father has, and I'm really upset that I can't be there with him because I should be. And but New York State doesn't think that that's appropriate. I would have to go and quarantine for 14 days, and hey, if he's still alive, go ahead. But I mean, it's just he's a fighter, and I've been praying and praying, that things work out and he does well. I mean, what can you do? I'm not there. I don't see what's going on. I can't be a part of it. It's really aggravating for me. Every time a phone rings, you just wonder, what are they going to tell me now? I can't come in. I get threatened with $10,000 fines if you come in. And I've had a lot of people say, well, if that was my dad, I'd just do it. Well, I get what you're saying, and I've even said that myself. But when it comes down to it, what do? Break through a police barricade? And then what? End up like that guy who just got shot because you don't, when they draw their guns, and I'm sure they would, so you'd go in, they'd make sure that you quarantine, and if you even try to come out of that wherever hotel you're in quarantine, the little snitch at the desk will tell on you. It's all right, the little snitch at the desk will tell him, police, he's leaving, he's supposed to be quarantined, he's not wearing a mask, So they're going to fine you for that. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I never thought in this country that we'd ever go through something like this where a loved one could be as ill as my father has been, and I'm not allowed to see him. Now, something bad can happen, and then I could have to live with that the rest of my life, that I wasn't able to say, Dad, I love you, goodbye. I hope that that's not the case, and I don't think that that's the way he's going to go, because he's just a tough cookie, but I think he's still got some time here. I hope to God he does, because if something does happen and I'm unable to see him, it's not going to sit well with me. It's not sitting well with me now. It's, it's tough. I've come to terms, that's why I'm so calm now. I mean, what are you going to do? I could get angry and scream and yell, and then I'm just hurting my own health as well. But it's really aggravating, folks. I'll tell you, if you've got loved ones in New York and you're not there, if you're in any of these liberal states, man, God bless you, because it's really tough once something happens. Then I was told by my brothers that they've have COVID patients on the same floor as he's on. I wouldn't doubt it if they're not putting them in the same room. You just don't know. I mean, if I was there, believe me, I'd be on it. Just like the dirtbag nurse who told him, "What do you? Why? You might as well give up." She said, I had to think about it for a minute. She says, "You might as well give up. You're going to die anyways." Can you believe that? That comes from a so-called nurse. Probably a nurse by day and Black Lives Matter by night. I don't know. Who knows? Antifa, maybe neither. Maybe just a rotten person. I don't know. But yeah, that's what she says. And then the head nurse says, "Oh, sir, we would never say that." Okay. So you see, it's just frustrating. He's so far away. 13, 14 hours away, and I'm just going through the states to get there. I mean, my God, this whole COVID. And then I had a police officer the other day telling me she thinks it's going to last. It's going to be permanent. I'm like, no, it can't be permanent. I mean, if they call this to be permanent, then the people better step up, because I'm telling you, you're being hoodwinked. You are really being hoodwinked. I've been everywhere. And, I'm not, keeling over from no coronavirus to Chinese virus, as our president so rightfully calls it. This cannot be a permanent thing, because this is not good. I mean, it's just changing the way we do everything. I don't like it at all. I don't think any of you do. But some of you are so afraid that you comply. And this is the problem I see, is this compliance. But this is what I don't get. Folks, you're not seeing the big picture. And I'm going to try to help you again to see the big picture. If they're so worried about you and me getting sick with the China virus, then tell me why they're not so concerned with all these looters and rioters who are going out and destroying property. They don't say, "Oh, well, they've lost control." No, they know what's going on. If you're really concerned about a pandemic, I'm talking about, a plague, you do something about this, because they'd be endangering everybody else, right? But that's not the case, because it's all a bunch of crap. It's all to hurt the United States. It's all to fix the election. And if you don't think so, then you're just a moron, because it is. It really is. I don't want to get into name calling, but, I got to call a spade. And that's what they're doing. I mean, I go in stores and, I tell them, no, I don't wear a mask, and okay. Well, So if it was really that, you were really that concerned of a pandemic, and then this whole thing that McMaster's did here, the old, I'll be nice. But, 5 o'clock, make sure you're in, because after 5, the big bad virus is coming to get you. None of it's made sense to me, unless you think about it for what it is. See it for what it is and use common sense. So now that being said, it even angers me more, because I am being kept from seeing my father based on a bunch of bullcrap. It's just not right. I've got kids in New York too. I can't even go see them. Can't do anything. It's like New York is, I don't know, they built a wall. They want to keep the rest of the country out. They're so worried about getting COVID, yet their wonderful governor, that piece of garbage governor that they have in New York, goes and puts sick patients, COVID sick patients, in a nursing home with healthy people, but he takes his own mother out of there. How do you folks in New York, how do you put up with that? How is that okay with you? Tell me why that's okay, that he killed your mothers, but he got his mom out of there. Like, he didn't know that there was danger, right? They didn't know, really? Then why did he get his mother out of there? Okay, you got to wake up there. It's time for you. These politicians need to be held accountable. They're criminals. They're 100% criminals. And at some point, they need to be held accountable. Just like you got citizens coming out defending the streets right now in some cities, because they have to, because the police can't or won't, because they're being told that, we'll take your pension. So, the hell with it. Wouldn't it be nice if everyone just told these unconstitutional, stop following these, first of all, these unconstitutional orders. So when a governor says, no, police force, you can't go protect this, or you can't protect these people, and I think that those orders should not be accepted. That'd be like if Trump gave an unconstitutional order to our military to come in and start, whatever, right? They should not listen. They should not, they vowed to abide by the Constitution and defend it, both, abroad and domestically. And so, they need to hold themselves to that. We need to hold them to that. Just like these governors and mayors, they agreed. They held their hand up. They says that they promised to uphold the Constitution. They're not doing it. But you're okay with it. Why? I don't get it. Why? How far are we going to let this go? How many more of you are going to have to go through what I'm going through right now, where you can't go see your loved one? How would you like it if your mother or your father or your child was in another state and possibly checking out soon, and I'm, going to the other side, and you're not allowed to go and see them, hold their hand, tell them you love them, be there for them, like you promised that you would be. All right? How about if you had criminals who's broken all their promises and now forcing you to break yours? How would you feel? I'll tell you what, I don't feel too good about it. I'm upset about it, but you know what, folks? I'm only one man. Now, if 10,000 people just emailed me and says, "Hey, let's all go meet. We're all gonna cross that border together," I'd be with you. I'd be in the front line. I'd throw the first knee, but I can't do it alone. It takes us all. We need to all come together and put an end to this. I mean, enough is enough. Enough is enough. We're being lied to on every front. They're going to try to fix this election too. And if Trump don't win, I mean, I hate to tell you what's coming. What we're going to see. We're going to see a lot of war on the streets. A lot of bloodshed. And that's not a threat. If Trump don't win, we're going to riot. No. It's that I think no matter which way it goes, if he wins, we're in big trouble, because they'll punish us for being patriotic. And if he does win, thank God, but at the same time, you're still going to have the evil's not going to stop. It's not going to surrender because Trump won a second time. It's just not, So we got a lot to deal with. We got a lot on our plate. And then some of us have personal things, such as my dad. And it's just, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with, folks. 2020, holy cow, somebody make the movie. It'd be a long one. And not a good one either. So, has anybody had a great 2020? I guess there's some people out there who must have had a great 20. Oh, yeah, George Soros did. Black Lives Matter had a great 2020. All the companies that are selling out. And speaking of sellouts, the Drudge Report, what a sellout. I mean, I can't even go over there anymore and look at it. It's like, that's terrible. I used to go there all the time. It was like the one-stop shop. You get all kinds of news from everywhere. Now it's all propaganda, all sellout. What a shame. Everything's turning around. Everything that was good is now, it's like the evil is coming out of it. Everyone's selling out. Not us, not here. That's why we're poor. That's why we ask you to support us, because we don't go along to get along. Nope. What we do, though, is thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Late Night in the Midlands and all the shows on WCET. I ask that you keep your eyes posted to the sky because you never know what you might see. Please keep your ears posted to this broadcast because you never know what you might learn. Tomorrow night, I have John Jensen. We'll be talking about prehistoric civilizations. So that's tomorrow night right here on Late Night in the Midlands. Thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic evening. And give your loved one a hug, folks, because you just never know. You just never know. Good night.
Keep Michael Vara on the air and contribute to Late Night in the Midlands by going to our show page located on WCETradio.com. Just place your cursor over the show tab at the top of the website. Then click Late Night in the Midlands in the drop-down menu. Once there, just click the donate button on that page. It's as simple as that. Thank you for keeping Michael Vara and Late Night in the Midlands going all these years. WCET Radio and Late Night in the Midlands. We cover everything.